Rome was a fucked up place with a lot of evil shit that went down. But, as with every great civilization, and the word great doesn't mean good, it just means it's great, it's expansive, it's big, okay? Rome was at some point the fourth, or covered one fourth, the land size of the known world at the time. So a quarter of the known world was under the jurisdiction of the Roman Empire. And over the years, they had some pretty wise philosophers, and they had one particular wise emperor, Marcus Aurelius. So, again, with every great civilization or empire, as doesn't matter how evil it was, there are a few things you can maybe pick up on, a few things that you can learn. And they had this, some of the emperors had this interesting ritual where if the emperor won a battle or won a war against somebody, he would go around in the streets and celebrate, celebrate. The Roman Empire was a militaristic empire. The winning battles and wars is how they expanded. So when they won a major war, of course, they would go celebrate in the streets. And as the emperor is celebrating, he would have a slave. Just to tell you how fucked up the Roman Empire was, 1/3 of all citizens of the Roman Empire were slaves. That's pretty fucked up, okay? Since 1/3 of people living in Rome, in under the jurisdiction, 1/3, okay? Ridiculous. So the emperor would have a slave, and the slave would keep saying "Memento mori, memento mori, memento mori," and he just repeated it over and over and over. And memento mori means remember death, remember death, remember death. And the reason for that is so that if the emperor feels too arrogant and too over his head, he remembers that one day he's gonna die, and if you remember you're gonna die, that humbles you naturally. Now I don't know, I don't know if every emperor did this. I don't think so. We've had lots of arrogant emperors that declared themselves as God and did all kinds of nasty things. Think Nero, who burned Rome and was very narcissistic, and many of those emperors were. But nevertheless, I assume that ritual wasn't taken by every emperor, but perhaps the wise ones, the smarter ones, the ones that were thinking more, maybe took upon this ritual. Okay, so in those moments of glory, you remember death, and that humbles you, so you don't go over your head and you don't get too arrogant and take credit for the whole thing and say you're God. So anyway, regardless of the truth of this story, that is something that is very wise, and something that we can all really learn from, is to remember death. And there are so many benefits that come from that. There is an exercise in Stoicism, which is called negative visualization, and they would basically, you know how you do positive visualization, you think of your dream life, your dream relationship, your dream house, etc. Well, there is another side of the coin, which is negative visualization, which is you visualize the negative aspect of life. And the reason for that is that so you make your peace with it, so that you develop non-attachment to the physical world. And so often in negative visualization exercises, you would visualize your own death. You would visualize what it's like to go through the death process, what it's like to let go of everything in the physical world. And so the exercise of remembering death, of keeping death by your side throughout your life, is incredibly beneficial. And I don't know where to start to express some of these benefits, because there's just so many benefits that come from that. So one thing that I will start off with, because it's the first thing that comes to my mind, is that the exercise of remembering death makes you not attached to the physical world, not attached to your physical body, not attached to your thoughts, not attached to material things, not attached to your money, not attached to your wealth, not attached to your fame. And in that state of non-attachment, in that state of readily able to let go, means if you were to die today and you contemplate death on a regular basis, and you were to find out that, I don't know, something like the military in your country is, there's a new military coup in your country, and the military is just killing random people or people who have expressed their opinion against the new political figurehead, and they're rounding up everyone and they're about to kill everyone. So you find out that, maybe you've been speaking against the new president or something online, and they've got you, and they're gonna come and round everybody and they're gonna kill them. If you were to find that out and you were like, whoa, I have 24 hours to live here, potentially, right? How would you feel? How would you be able to let go quickly? Would you be able to surrender quickly? Would you be able to say, okay, well, I'm gonna die. And if you've been preparing, if you've been doing negative visualization exercises, if you've been contemplating that, you're more than likely going to be ready to let go and therefore pass peacefully to the other side, because you're an eternal being and you're gonna go on and experience. But if you haven't, if you just never really thought about death, if you never really contemplated death, you're probably gonna be really, really, really scared, attached, and that's gonna cause problems when you pass on. Because if you've studied the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or maybe if you've ventured yourself through maybe the use of psychedelics or out-of-body experiences into, the afterlife, it's kind of a process. You have to go through like a process where, there's so many theories also about it, but basically, this is for another video, but basically, when you pass on, there's gonna be like a false light deception. They'll try to pull you, they'll try to pull you into them. Who are they? I'm talking about the reptilian beings. I'm mixing up so many ideas here, I know, but bear with me. And if they'll try to act on your attachments. So what happens is people who are really attached and really fearful, they end up becoming ghosts. They end up becoming lost souls, or as the Buddhists would call them, hungry ghosts. All right? And they try to go and hang out around their old area, their old house, and they become lost, right? But that's one thing that could happen. Another thing is that you could be deceived into taking another incarnation in that state of confusion and death. And that's also all in the Tibetan Book of the Dead if you're interested. But if you're really peaceful, you're able to discern false light from true light. And if you're able to pass through with peacefulness, with a state of relaxation, a state of letting go, then you'll go where you're supposed to go after you die. Okay? So that's a pretty complex topic that I can make videos on it in the future. But I'm not an expert on death, by the way. These are just ideas I picked up, and I am probably like many of you. I don't really know for sure what's going to happen after we die. Okay? But these are ideas I picked up. I've had my own personal experiences of going to the so-called afterlife using psychedelics in the past. Even then, I'm just not exactly sure what happens, okay? So, that being said, what you can bet your money on is that you really want to be in a state of peacefulness and relaxation, and a state of non-attachment, and a letting go, so you can just let go easily, pass on through easily. And so, that's one benefit of contemplating death, is you're always ready. The other one is you become more brave, because if you are ready to die any moment, or any moment, then you will see naturally you'll become more of a brave person. It's kind of like, hey, life is too finite to sit on the sidelines. So if you like somebody, you could go and talk to her or him. Just express your feelings for your attraction target. If you want to travel somewhere, but you're afraid, you just take that step. Hey, because again, life is too finite and too short. It really is too short for you to sit on the sidelines and not take bold action. And I've got a video coming up, I think I'll make it after this one, called, Fortune Favors the Bold and the Brave, okay? Now, how long are we supposed to live is like, when I say life is too finite and too short, what am I talking about? Like 80 years, 90 years? No. I'm a firm knower, not believer. I know that humans can live for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. And I myself aspire to stay as long as I would like and live like the Hindu yogis do. Just leave my body consciously. And that's my aspiration, and I live a lifestyle that will support that goal. But even a few hundred years, that's pretty short, man, okay? Like, I'm turning 30, and if I'm gonna go on living 300 years, which again is I would go ahead to say that's very likely, okay? That's very likely. I'm already 10% of the way. And I'm telling you, time just passes by so quickly that 300 years is too short. 1,000 years is too short and too finite. Okay? So, yeah. So, again, you act with boldness, with bravery, and you are living moment to moment in a state of non-attachment, which is the ultimate. Really, it's like the ultimate state. You want to live in a state of non-attachment but total involvement at the same time. So you're totally involved in life, yet you're attached to none of it. And so those are some benefits. Another thing is, it makes you really realize what is important for you in this life, what is your priority in this life. And I contemplate on this every day now. Every day in the morning when I wake up, I make my orange juice, and I sit down and I write stuff. I write about death. I contemplate death. I say, if I died today, what would I have wished I'd done differently? And really, when you're contemplating death every day, you really, really want to do the things that really matter to you. And then you start to do them, and this has been really improving my life a lot recently, because I'm doing the things that are very important to me. Like, I used to, for so much of the last 7-8 months, I've been spending way too much time on cryptocurrency, tracking it, watching videos, learning, right? And lately, I haven't really been doing that all that much, and it shows in my videos. I don't really make much videos on crypto. I still keep up with everything. I listen to the news, what's going on. I keep up with the market. I watch videos on my investments, but it's not taking all my time. It's taking like a small percentage of my daily time and energy consumption. Because the more I contemplate on things like death, like big picture stuff, the more I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, really, like, when I die, am I really gonna be like, oh, I wish I made more money, or I wish I paid more attention to the markets, or I wish I learned more about it? No. A lot of times it ends up being like, you'll see, if you contemplate on death every day, you realize the most important thing for most of us is our human relationships, and how loving and considerate and compassionate we were, and how present we were for our loved ones. And in my particular case, the main person in my life is Miranda, is my partner, right? My lover. And yeah, I have been more considerate of her. I have been more present for her lately, because I'm realizing this is the most important thing. If I was to die today, I wish I was more present for her. I wish I was more available to her. I wish I was more considerate of her feelings, because there were lots of times where I wasn't. I just wanted to be on my phone, and I wanted to, check crypto, and I wanted to see what's happening, and I just wanted to do that all day. And it's like the more I contemplate on the big picture stuff, death, if I was to die today, what would I wish I have done? And the answer is I wish I would have spent less time on a lot of these materialistic things and more time paying attention to my loved ones, more present with them, more understanding, more listen to them more, understand them more. And so that's a big benefit of the daily contemplation of death, remembering death on a daily basis, right? So yeah, it's a big hack, you know, and you know, if you ain't scared of life, if you ain't scared of death, you ain't scared of life. Okay, they're both two sides of the same coin. It's the duality of life, and out of death comes life. You know, when forests spontaneously have a fire, out of the ashes of the trees comes this new rich soil for the next generation of trees and plants. So you know, same thing like you know, when you shit, when an animal shits or a human shits, and it goes into the soil, and you can have plants, you know, soil, you know, human feces, animal feces can be used for soil to grow plants. That's death, you know, that's waste, that's death. And out of that comes life. So I think it's very important to contemplate death on a daily basis. Okay? So yeah, guys, memento mori. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. And if you would like to donate to this channel, I have a link down below for PayPal. You could do one-time donations on PayPal, minimum of 1 million. No, I'm kidding. You can do whatever you want there, okay? And there's also Patreon. I also do one-on-one consultations. If you're interested to book a consultation, there's the link down below in the description. Mwah. And I will see you guys in the next video.